Also in wireless connectivity, we have here partnerships like what we have with AWS, and what G42 has with AWS, and what G42 has with Amazon, like Google, all the big quarters here and more that are coming, and using these capabilities that we are building
to recognize digital identity as equivalent to physical presence, and allows the door for more cross-border recognition of digital identities. And this thing, if we
adapt and ensure that agility across not only the partner that we have, but even in the bigger picture of the hyperscalers and many of those aspects, without compromising many of the national security aspects. So definitely there is this balance. Innovation is one of the main stakeholder of all of these strategies. Innovation, as a matter of fact, is a pillar of our national cybersecurity strategy, where we need to strike that balance. Alhamdulillah, with those agile governings and policies, we always add that innovation. So what are the recommendations in that perspective? Those younger generation, those startups, those many of, alhamdulillah, information sharing that we see between public-private people partnership, where you see the government share many of this information with the private sector. They come up with a great idea of actually fulfilling as well as tackling this challenge. They even run it through many of those NGOs or even the public in order to test that perspective. And this is where we have the AI regulation lab that allows us actually to test many of those aspects before even rolling them out on this. That's where the balance comes. That sharing between both private sector and as the government sector really had brought great innovation. Ideas came out of UAE, as a matter of fact. This is funny that last week we had the JISEC, one of the largest, again, cybersecurity on this. So while we were in the startup North Star section, where we have more than 150 startup companies. Many of those are, alhamdulillah, aiming towards becoming a unicorn. Many of them who follows an sandbox innovation in RSA, they are already, as a matter of fact, applying to be one part of this. And it's funny that last year, one of the stands there was DeepSeek. Again, the LLM model that actually was taken from as well in China and really optimized many of those aspects. So, alhamdulillah, what we see, UAE is the land of many of those innovations. Alhamdulillah, it is the land where you can definitely start aiming towards that North Star and continuing on that balance between innovation, cybersecurity, and many of the aspects that we see.
Thank you. Interesting. So now, the very, very hot topic, Naima, AI, aside from ChatGPT. So how do you see AI and data analytics are helping organizations and empowering them to make more smarter, more intelligent decision making, whether in their daily operations or how to make investments, how to grow a company, etc. How, from your perspective, how do you see that happening?
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Look, I think one of the realization we've had is that we're moving from decisions that used to be very much intuitive and I would say gut-driven to decisions that are fully insight-driven, like really data-driven. So it's really shifting the paradigm of decision-making. And if I take our example at Mubadala, earlier this year we have introduced Maya, our AI bespoke AI solutions, that we have equipped our investment committee members with, that really helps them supercharge their deal review. And when they have to sift through a lot of documentation and preparation of investment committee member, now they have access to this AI. And essentially what this AI do is that it helps them analyze all of these complex and large documents in a fingertip, literally. It provides ability to benchmark information with a lot of external data points as well. It also surfaces, and AI is really good at this, it really surfaces as well contrarian viewpoints and red flags. Well, essentially what this whole solution does is that it really equips them to reinforce and make sure that they're making the right investment decisions. So beyond this deep review at Mubadala, what our ambition is really to embed AI in our entire life cycle and the way we invest. And that goes from deploying AI to our investment managers in the deal review and in the deal screening and due diligence phases, but also in the way we sort of monitor and steer our portfolio. So it's really about becoming an AI native organization. And earlier, I think last year, we published a white paper, an AI white paper that's called Alpha Intelligence, that found one very interesting. 93% of investment firms believe that in the coming 3 years, AI is going to have tremendous impact and start yielding a lot of value. So from where we see it, it's very critical for us as an organization to position ourselves and to be among these early adopters, to be able to sort of reap the benefit of this transformational technology.
Nice, thank you. So, Lucky, I still remember the days when everybody started to talk about cloud computing and we were saying, no, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to send my data across the borders or even within the same country. But the whole thing has changed. Now, we're all on the cloud. Everybody is using the cloud. So, what happened that changed the cloud from a tool that will be used, or this is how we kind of got the first impression of cloud, that it's a tool to reduce cost, and it became the driver for digital economy and transformation of digital economy, and a key driver for all of this innovation. What happened during those years?
Yeah, thanks, Mohammed. I would appreciate the question. I think we can all agree that the introduction of cloud computing has driven costs down. There is a cost efficiency that has been introduced. However, we've seen delivered far more value than just the cost efficiency factor. Take into account the productivity gains, the time to market advantages, scalability of the elasticity of the solutions itself. It's now an innovation platform. So Hatem mentioned earlier immersive experiences. He was talking about those digital spectacles, those goggles, and they are at the heart of not only immersive experiences today, but also the bedrock of 6G and the promise of what comes next. Now, the spectacles themselves, think about the processing required in the device. It's quite a lot to be network aware. And you can't rely on a central data center to do all of that processing in itself. You need to have a distributed cloud. The ability to be able to process workloads right across the network. And now, that's a great example of being able to drive value and create new immersive experiences that really can monetize and revolutionize the way industries and society does run. Another example that we're exploring on the advent of cloud as an innovation platform is the introduction of network-level APIs. Those network-level APIs give you the ability to abstract network characteristics into an API format that then enterprises and application developers can start to include into their different use cases, to start to include and revolutionize the way that we actually make the network programmable and able to provide use cases we never thought of before. So it is far beyond just a cost efficiency tool in itself. It will continue to evolve, of course. I think it's great His Excellency talked about the cyber security threats. Secure, trusted and open cloud computing is the platform of innovation for the future.
Thank you. So, we spoke about AI, cloud, and cybersecurity. So, when you offer your solutions, you offer a diversified set of solutions. How do you do the balance between these innovative solutions and cybersecurity? You want your customers to get the maximum value, but again, you also want to make sure that you have the right balance between innovation using AI, cloud solutions, and cybersecurity. How do you approach that?
It really has to come as a package. You work it hand in hand. So you cannot provide, it's the same, like if you sell a car, you have to sell a car with a good engine and a good brakes as well. So this is exactly what we do, because when we provide solutions that includes connectivity, that includes cloud to our customers, we have also to make sure that we are providing them with the right solutions to be secure. And of course, we work this through the regulations, of course, through the Cyber Security Council and other regulatory authorities that go through this. And this has led us at some point 5 years ago to acquire a cybersecurity company. So we acquired a company called Health AG, which is one of the leading companies in the UAE in terms of cybersecurity. And it's become very essential. I can tell you in the annual report of 2024, the number of DDoS attacks have increased between 2019 and 2024 by 860%. So almost ninefold. So it has become essential for businesses to be able to use these new functionalities, this new world to be secure. Otherwise, I mean, the worst case scenario, of course, that you lose the privacy and you lose the data of the customers. But in many cases, and this is what we've seen in the West recently with a number of incidents where power grids are brought down, where transport lines have been shut. And of course, we need to make sure that we provide the best capabilities with the best defense to ensure that the customers, whether they are the intermediate, which means some of the government authorities or corporates, get the maximum use of these capabilities. And of course, the end customer, which is the individual, the citizen, the person, the resident that's here, secure, knowing that their information is secure and that the financial integrity of their bank, of their fintech wallet, of their other services is kept in good shape. And this is a balance that we need to keep. And the same way as Dr. Kuwaiti said that we have AI being used for bad purposes, we need to make sure that we are using AI and getting always state-of-the-art defenses to be able to secure our customers.
Thank you. It's very interesting. It has to come as a package. I cannot distinguish with one over the other. So this leads me to the second question.
And if you allow me, I want to comment on some of the points, again, His Excellency alluded to. Today, Etisalat, as well as a matter of fact, all of our service providers, be it partners that we have, mashallah, based on Ericsson, based on many of the great partners who are actually having here, they are really going that extra mile. And this is what he mentioned about package. Yes, I will sell for the profit mission that I have, but at the same time, we have another mission, which is, again, alhamdulillah, they share with us that national security mission, that economical aspects that we have, that leading towards the trust that we see. And this is what, alhamdulillah, many of these services are really coupled with the great, alhamdulillah, features that allows that technology to respond. And he did give a great example. Last week, we faced one of the largest DDoS across the whole region. And alhamdulillah, with the great solutions that we have, again, not only from EAD, but also from every single entity, cloud provider, cloud service provider, or even any of those internet providers. In that perspective, they were able to not only detect, but prevent even many of those from the start. They come into our gateways. Alhamdulillah, we vouch for many of those aspects, and alhamdulillah, many of it is based on our compliances as well as policies that we have.
Thank you. So, Your Excellency, in UAE is one of the top countries in the world when it comes to the cybersecurity maturity, right? As per the international studies, United Nations, etc. So how did you position, or the government of UAE position, cybersecurity as an enabler of trust and innovation? And what is the government is doing right now when it comes to regulations increase, the awareness of cybersecurity and help the society and the economy building a trusted platform within the country?
So there is no doubt that across the whole Middle East, and I'm sure we thank Middle East economy, as a matter of fact, in doing so many things for us in that perspective and covering and giving us a landscape of what's happening. So it's a theme across all of the Middle East that digitization is one of the enabler, accelerator for economical and development in those nations. Alhamdulillah, we've seen it across so many of those aspects. UAE, as well as other nations, alhamdulillah, are in category 1 under the United Nations Global Cyber Index, where UAE is in top of that global cyber index. Alhamdulillah, we are number 1, definitely, alhamdulillah, that's what the leadership always push us to be, not because of us, but because of the great partnership we have, because of the great public-private people partnership that we have that helps us to be that number 1 across so many criteria in cybersecurity indicator or basically competitiveness ranking that they have. So with that said, definitely we are continuing to enhance that. We're not taking that for granted, but also enhancing many of our digitization with a great partnership, with bringing so many of those partners who help us on that, with building a center of excellences of cybersecurity here in the region. Well, that's what we're actually doing. With adapting new technologies. You've heard of the quantum, for example. With this post-quantum, alhamdulillah, we're already in an advanced as well as, alhamdulillah, early stage. We have already published that policy of post-quantum adaptation to so many of those sectors. One of them is the financial sector, with adopting many of those 5 NIST standards or algorithms that are actually focuses on many of those aspects. So always aiming towards that edge and working with the great partners to keep that edge. That's what will help us in that innovation. That's what will help us on that partnership and staying at number 1. And this is, alhamdulillah, one of the blessings that we have with the great 200 nationalities that we have, with the great partnership that we do. Well, definitely, cybersecurity is an integral part of every sector that we've seen. Yes, we announced that national security strategy. Yes, we did, alhamdulillah, put those criteria and policies in order to adapt for. We are even adding that into the curriculum of the education of the younger generation. We have, for example, in the government, there is a checklist before and mandated to every employee to take those awareness courses. And this is where giving that first line of defense. We are trying to enable these teams, alhamdulillah, with all of the AI, augmenting them with AI and working together to enhance these services.
Thank you. So Naima, as an executive, how did AI change your daily routine? But actually, I have another question I would like to ask you. So,
yeah, I'll start by sharing a little bit around how AI is, I would say, reshaping the day of an executive, or I would say more broadly, so knowledge economy workers. I mean, if you start your day with AI, essentially, so it's like your mini chief of staff, your personal assistant. It does help you catch up on your meetings, get ready, look into the past interactions you probably had with this person. It really preps you in a way that is much more efficient than it would have taken probably a couple of hours before. But it's not really what I'm excited about, I think. What I'm excited about is when we really are going to have these, the conjuncture of these different technologies, and Your Excellency, you've touched upon the quantum. So when we're going to start seeing quantum computing at scale and the real-life applications of AI, I would say going more from these horizontal use cases to very deep vertical ones in the healthcare, for example. When AI is going to be able, and quantum, to support the discovery of new sort of compound of molecules to cure diseases that we have not been able to cure in the past, like cancer. So these applications for me are the ones that are the most exciting. So it's really what I see is the shift from productivity and efficiency towards helping decision making and real world problems solving. So I really think there's a big potential when it comes to these applications. And then you have as well these digital twins. when we start having these digital twins a skill and start solving real life, let's say, challenges around cities, around sustainability. So the convergence of all of these technologies is, I think, very tremendous for us to witness.
I totally agree. I think quantum computing is the technology that everybody should pay attention to in the next 5 years, whether it's from business perspective and what are the opportunities that it will bring to businesses, but also from cybersecurity perspective, because it comes with a huge threat to the current networks and systems. And as Dr. Kuwaiti mentioned, there are some policies and activities happening right now in UAE to address these threats. Okay, now with the cloud computing, as you mentioned, Lucky, earlier, and the innovation and the advancements happened so far, it's a very essential part in our technology and this innovation. Do you see any barriers that will impact the growth of cloud computing, and especially around data sovereignty, data localization? How does this impact businesses and impact you as cloud providers?
Well, cloud computing in its own right has become so critical and crucial to transformation and innovation. It's a national critical infrastructure, if you want to think of it in that way. And our view for the future is you will have one network, any device, and multiple experiences. Hopefully it's an Etisalat network in that sense. And in saying that, you need to create a flexible, trusted, and open infrastructure, at the same time secure that you do have all the elements of data privacy, data sovereignty covered in the right and appropriate way. Other blockers or challenges become the operating model. You do need to change your go-to-market. You do need to change processes, people to adapt and to be able to make good use of it. For sure, there's a skills gap challenge. We can all acknowledge that these are very complex platforms and systems and require expertise to be able to stitch it all together. And once you do have this type of complexity, not forgetting that innovation comes with an open platform, and I say open because at the same time it needs to be trusted. But once platforms do become open, they become fragmented. And from that perspective, you need to have an orchestration across each of the different elements so that it does work seamlessly for end users. I do want to finish on the data sovereignty piece and the data privacy piece. I think it's super crucial and critical that you can secure each of the use cases in the most appropriate manner and do it in a flexible manner that you actually can take advantage of time to market. Each of the services that we want to introduce from innovation needs to be introduced to the market in a cost-efficient but also a very quick manner. So, that is a crucial element that does need to be taken care of. If we get all of those challenges and blockers right, I think we're on the right path to innovation and the true transformation of societies and industries at large.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And please join me to thank our distinguished speakers. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. A wonderful round of applause for our speakers and a really illuminating conversation. So huge thanks to them. So we're just going to have a quick photograph and then I will ask you all to stay with us because we are going to be shifting gears quite notably. We're moving on from our panel discussions for a dose of inspiration from somebody whose story is as powerful as his message. It is clear, of course, that AI, data and cyber security are no longer just the support functions they might have been, but now driving transformation across every sector, every boardroom, and every economy. Huge thanks there to all of our speakers. Now, as I was saying, it is time now for a dose of inspiration from someone whose story is as powerful as his message. A global speaker, an author, and an entrepreneur, this man has made it his mission to help others lead with resilience, clarity, and purpose.
Doctors classified me with hand-heart syndrome. Are you ready to challenge the impossible?
Welcome back to Max Out with Ed my left. This man to my left, I think, is one of the most inspiring people on planet Earth today.
Welcome to Beijing.
At the time of my birth, I was the 12th baby in medical history that they've ever seen this happen to. And out of the 12, 8 of them have passed away due to undeveloped organs.
Like any other 12-year-old, Nick's Antastasso enjoys ball, skateboarding, and playing video games. And while these may sound like simple everyday activities, for Nick, they're anything but. He is one boy who defies the odds.
It's not about how many times we fall down. It's about how many times we get up and keep moving forward.
And an unbelievable public speaker, for the record, that you're going to hear about in a minute. But this is Nick Antastasso.
Have you ever felt like you were invisible? Have you ever felt like you weren't good enough? Raise your hand if at least one time in your life you said, why me? Look around the room. It's empty. You all get a taste of that victim mentality. Why me? Why do I have to be born like this? Why do I have to be born with no legs and one arm? Why do the kids have to make fun of me? Why do I have to go through these challenges? What I've realized over the 23 years of my life, it's not the physical body that holds us back, but it's the mindset. The biggest disability you can have is a bad mindset.
Huge round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to the stage Nick Antastasso, founder of Victorious International.
Distinguished guests, leaders, brilliant minds, it's an honor to be here with you here. Now, I'm just curious because I'm new to the UAE. With a show of hands, how many people have ever seen me before? How many people never seen me before? I've never seen you either. Now, I'm super excited to be here, and what we're going to talk about today is the power of leadership psychology. You know, what I've realized, for those that don't know me, is I've trained over 1 million people live from stage. These are politicians, government leaders, entrepreneurs, CEOs. And so when you've trained over 1 million people live from stage, you've gathered some data. And so I'm going to teach today based off the data. Now there's a few things that the data showed me that I want to share with you. The first thing that the data showed after training all of these people is most leaders don't need to be taught, they need to be reminded. You are all brilliant individuals, but maybe today's message will be a gentle reminder and bring you back into your heart. The other thing that I've realized throughout the data is that in any business, any country, any leadership, any organization, the biggest chokehold is always the psychology of the leadership. The country will never grow as far as the belief system of the leaders. And it's a good thing that I moved to UAE, because UAE leaders do not have small thinking, they have no limiting beliefs, and they believe that everything is possible. Now, for those that don't know me and don't know why I look like this, I think it's important to share why I look like this before we get into the psychology of leadership. In 1996, my mother went in for a late ultrasound. They sat them down and they pulled the baby up on the screen, and suddenly the doctor started freaking out. They said, "What's wrong? What's going on with my baby?" And they said, well, from the looks of it, it doesn't look like your baby's limbs are being developed. It looks like he's missing his legs, it looks like he's missing his arms, and his face might be messed up. And in that moment, they classified me with Hanhart syndrome. Hanhart syndrome is a super rare genetic disorder that either leaves the babies with undeveloped limbs or undeveloped organs. At the time of my birth in 1996, I was the 12th baby in medical history that they've ever seen this happen to. And out of the 12, 8 of those babies passed away due to undeveloped organs. The doctors looked my parents in their eyes and said, your baby boy has about a 30% chance to live. They said you shouldn't go forth with the pregnancy, you should give him away. They threw all their limiting beliefs at my parents. Similar to when the UAE was created. People said it's self-sustainable, you'd never make it, you'd never build something in the desert like this. True or false? They said the same very things. And so I was born, and they immediately did tests on my organs. They brought me over into another room, they did tests on my organs, and my organs came back 100% healthy. The only thing that was affected were my limbs. And so my parents were very excited, of course. And my dad brought me into a private room. He told me this as an adult, but he brought me into a private room and he looked me in my eyes. And he said, Nick, I will be your arms and legs until the day that I die. If we fast forward to the 28-year-old man, the work that I'm able to do with leaders like you, I was now able to turn around to my parents at 28 and say, no, Mom and Dad, I'm gonna be the arms and legs for you. That's the power of the right psychology. That's the power of the right environment. You see, my parents would literally sit me down and they put my clothes in front of me and they say, figure it out. Or they put my food in front of me and they said, figure it out. And eventually, clearly, I learned how to dress myself. I learned how to feed myself. But what I've realized is 2 very important reminders that I want to share with you. The first one was they understood, and I understood at a very early age, that failure was a part of the process. The leaders who fail faster gather more data, get more clarity, and can execute. The faster that you fail, the faster that you're going to succeed. But the second thing that was massively valuable was at an early age, I was programmed to be solution-oriented. You see, most people focus on all the problems, and so they get more of the things that they don't want. I want you to remember this: you don't get the life you have, you get the life you focus on. And so as leaders, we must remind ourselves that failure is a friend. As leaders, we must remind ourselves that we need to spend more energy on the solution versus the problem, and cascade that all the way down. If your people are gonna bring you problems, they better bring you solutions. But what I've realized through this data is that there's actually 3 dimensions to a leader. And I'm going to share these dimensions with you. And like I said, most of you are very intelligent human beings, so maybe this is just a gentle reminder. But most leaders are caught in the first and second dimension of a leader. The first dimension of a leader is, it's all about me. It's all about me, and if my needs aren't being met, I'm gone. I don't want to do it. Halas. Complete. But there's an evolution. Then the leader evolves to the second dimension of a relationship, or second dimension of a leader. And the second dimension of a leader is where a lot of leaders hang out. And that is the leader who is solely transactional. This is a leader who every single deal has to be fair. If I bring 5 marbles to the plate, you gotta bring 5 marbles to the plate, and if it's not even, I leave. These are leaders who only make decisions with their head and not their heart. It's a lot of leaders like that. But the highest level of leadership that I think all of you can adopt in this very moment is the third dimension of a leader. And the third dimension of a leader states, your needs are my needs. And when I meet your needs, my needs get met. I will ask you the question just for you to ponder, which level of leadership are you operating out of? Is it 1? Is it 2? Maybe there's room for 3. But the greatest leaders, UAE leaders, they operate from the highest dimension of leadership, and that means that your needs are my needs, and the moment that I meet your needs, my needs get met. And so I will share an example about how the UAE leadership in the third dimension of a leader changed my life forever. Now, some of you may have heard this story before. I only shared it once, and it went pretty crazy. But some of you need to be reminded of why this is one of the greatest places on earth. Back in May, my brother said, hey, we should go to Dubai. I'm like, are you crazy? I don't know anything about Dubai. I've never been to the Middle East. I'm from America. And he's like, just trust me. Let's go to Dubai. And so I go to Dubai in May. We book a 9-day trip. And by day 3, because of this magical experience, on day 3, I looked at my brother and said, we're selling everything and we're moving to the UAE. But the magical moment was this. I was at the beach and I needed to use the restroom. And so I go to the restroom and I notice that there's 3 restrooms. There was a male restroom, there was a female restroom, and then there was a restroom that was labeled POD. And I didn't know what that meant. And so I go to one of the workers and I said, sir, which bathroom do I use? Do I use the male one, what does this mean? And he goes, that's your bathroom. I said, I got a private bathroom? I said, what does POD mean? And he got down to my level and he looked me in my eyes and said, sir, here in the Middle East, in UAE, we don't use the word handicap, we don't use the word crippled, we don't use the word disabled. Here, people like you are called people of determination. And because the leadership was able to change the meaning, they were able to change lives. I want you to understand this. When you change the story, you change your life. When you change the meaning, you change your life as well. I'll give you one more example. I'm living in Dubai, and I'm in Haptor City. And I got my automatic wheelchair. Someone on my team got me an automatic wheelchair, so I'm cruising around Haptor City in my wheelchair. And I noticed that there wasn't some wheelchair ramps where I can access some different cafes. But me from America, I wasn't gonna voice my needs because it would take forever for them to act. And so I just ignored it. I went on with my life, enjoyed the parts of the city that that were accessible. And then all of a sudden in my team group chat, I started getting pictures. And I said, what is this? And they said, Nick, I know there's cameras all over here. They said, Nick, they must have been watching you because everywhere that you weren't able to go, there's now wheelchair ramps. They put in 4 wheelchair ramps for me to navigate my whole entire city in the small place that I live in. That is a testament to the leadership. That is a testament to the psychology. That is a testament to the UAE. And because of that, I've told it on stages very clearly that I will do everything in my power with my communication, with my influence, with my mission, with my voice to ensure that UAE becomes the most inclusive, accessible country in the world. You want to boost your economy? Be inclusive. You want to boost your economy? Do more for others than you would do for yourself. You want to boost the economy? Become the most inclusive place. Because when you do, it attracts the right talent, the right businesses, the right investments, the right opportunities, and that's where the magic happens. You see, one of the greatest breakthroughs that I've gotten living in the UAE is you can be an extremely valuable individual. You can build yourself into an amazing man, amazing woman, amazing leader. But if your environment doesn't value you, you start to question your own value. And where I'm from in America, I started to question my own value. Government has never brought me in for inclusivity, accessibility. I've built over 5 million Instagram followers. I'm doing some amazing things. Not once did they ever want to take things to the next level. But when I moved to UAE, I told them, I'm an offering to you. Any way that I can be a blessing, any way that you can bolt me into the infrastructure, any way that we can go viral on inclusivity and accessibility, let's bring more eyeballs here, because once you're exposed to UAE, you can never be unexposed. Be honest with yourself. How many of you, with a show of hands, know people who said, I was just gonna come here for a year? 20 years later, it's because they got exposed to something that was magical. And so with that being said, to thank the incredible leaders of UAE. I want to thank this incredible summit for the opportunity to serve. But most importantly, do not forget about putting the needs of the people first. And in return, your needs will get met. Thank you so much.
Wow. Nick, what an incredible speech and what an incredible guy. Thank you so much for joining us today at this event. It's a true privilege to have Nick join us on this stage and an extraordinarily inspiring speech. I feel quite mediocre after, to be frank. It's really hard to follow such an incredibly inspiring speech, but I mean, absolutely amazing reminder of the strength of mindset, an amazing reminder of what true leadership can bring and what true leadership looks like. Now, let us turn to our next session, because we are going to explore the convergence of technology, mobility, and sustainability. Those three forces fundamentally reshaping how we move both people and goods. In our next panel, which is entitled Autonomous Mobility, Innovations and Sustainability in Aviation and Automotive, our panelists promised us that they're going to dive into the evolution of electric vehicles, the rise of autonomous transport, and the growing importance of clean aviation. In the next few minutes, we will be welcoming our panelists onto the stage, and I'm delighted to say we are going to be joined by three eminent guests. We have Omran Malik, who is Head of Savvy for Abu Dhabi Investment Office. And we have Michael Stroband, who is President and CEO of MercedesBenz Cars in the Middle East. And their moderator, Alp Sapa, who is Editor-at-Large for Economy Middle East. Please join me on the stage, gentlemen. Round of applause, please.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's my absolute pleasure to be here today to delve into one of the most exciting frontiers of modern innovation, autonomous mobility, and the role how this is shaping the future of aviation and automotive industries. Now, without further ado, Michael, I'm going to start with you.
Sure.
Now, Mercedes-Benz has long been a pioneer in integrating cutting-edge technology into driving experiences. We saw it years ago with the W140 S-Class. It brought all sorts of things to the world of automotive. Now, today, could you share how AI, machine learning, and connected car ecosystems are shaping the next generation models?
Sure, and good example. I think it shares the same bold vision that we in our company have since almost 140 years to build the most and desirable and best cars in the world. And that obviously goes then hand in hand with our ambition to be at the forefront of technology. Talking about AI, machine learning, and connected vehicles are definitely strategic pillars in the forefront of future cars. I think best example you would see in our current CLA that got introduced to the world in March in Rome. And that, from my perspective, is equipped with an absolute highlight of our self-developed onboard MBOS system. And that system is full of AI in every layer, including Google, Microsoft, Gemini, Google Maps, Microsoft topics, in order to come to an entirely new user experience. So in the future, it's not only that you ask your car for answers or to recommendations, but the car will predict a lot of topics based on habits, based on the machine learning of what is your preferred temperature in the car, what is your music, what is your ambient light, how was about the last recommendations when you asked the car of give me restaurants or Italian restaurants for the evening, for example. It would ask you in a dialogue saying, how were the recommendations? Did you like it? And what was good, what was wrong, in order to learn to give even better forecasts or better ideas in the future. So you will see now an entirely new system that, from my perspective, is the proof of the roadmap ahead for our company.
Very interesting. And Omran, I want to talk to you a little bit about Abu Dhabi. It's truly becoming the future of mobility here in the city. Autonomous vehicles and drones get closer to everyday use. And what regulations and infrastructures are needed to move from small trials to large-scale, real-world adoption of these exciting new technologies?
Yeah, so in Abu Dhabi, I mean, we're quite humble. We started back in 2021 with testing and trials, whether it's across areas like Saadiyat or Yas or Masdar City. But in this year, in 2025, we're moving more towards how we can move from testing, deployment, and commercialization. So we have ITC members here who are looking at the safety and the regulators. We are collaborating with the OEMs. If you think about it, if you think about ChatGPT 2-3 years ago, and the scale that it developed over the years, and who does not use ChatGPT now? It was not regulated because you need AI to be scaled and deployed. So if we stay in that catch-22 where we're only confining it to testing zones, we will not be able to deploy it. But of course, we have to deploy it in a safe and progressive manner to ensure safety and security of the public. And we're considering many frameworks and models. One of them is deploying it in Al Ain region, since Abu Dhabi covers 84% of the country. And upon successful completion of those tests, and let's say in these areas, it can be brought to the city to commercialize. So that's where we are now. We want to move from just testing to enable commercialization of these vehicles in the Emirate of Abu Dhabi.
Thank you. And Michael, I want to come at you with a similar kind of question from the automotive side of things. Global race towards autonomous mobility accelerates. Where do you think the Middle East stands today in terms of infrastructure, policy frameworks, consumer readiness, and how is Mercedes-Benz positioning itself, for the future?
Sure, thanks for the question. I mean, first of all, I believe readiness starts with a bold vision. And there I see the region, especially UAE, at the forefront. I mean, you have a very bold vision to convert 25% of the driving by 2030 into autonomous. And I think such a vision drives readiness, first of all, by and large. When it comes to infrastructure, obviously there are very, very interesting use cases in the UAE and in the region for autonomous driving. I think no doubt about it. And I also feel the governmental bodies that we talk with are very supportive in adapting and creating the needful framework, besides the technology that needs to be ready at the same time. When it comes to customer readiness, I feel it probably might take some time. Because I guess most of the customers and the people have never experienced so far an autonomous vehicle level 3. I had the chance to do so, and I must say I did it on German roads. As you know, we are the first OEM who got the license of level 3 in Germany, up to 95 kilometers an hour. And it is a change, because you need to trust the vehicle fully. First of all, you start with the normal habits that you do today in all kind of cars with level 2 kind of driving assistances. So you're saying you're still there. You watch the traffic, you're watching what's left and right, and you're there if something happens. Well, in level 3, Mercedes-Benz takes the ownership and responsibility. So you have a newspaper on, or watching the news. And that trust to completely go away with your attention from the road and doing something else, that takes a little bit of I think getting used to it, and that will take some time, but with use cases that you have here in the country, a lot of them, I think that adaptation will be fast. Once you experience this yourself, once you have the success stories, you have the technology that you believe in, and are able to trust then the vehicle and the ownership responsibility of the OEM who takes over.
I think there'll be resistance by the end user.
Yeah, well, from Mercedes-Benz perspective, first of all, I mean, obviously we believe in the technology. We invest a lot in autonomous driving. We are proud, as I said, to be at the forefront in Germany, and we're proud also in China. We're the first OEM who got the level 4 testing permits for the now busy streets of Beijing. And obviously we also in good conversations with the Middle East and especially in UAE, how we can integrate the UAE in future testing plans, because we are still in the kinderschues of the technology. Again, up to level 3 and 4, I think we have a very clear roadmap ahead, but there's more to come also in the future. When it comes to the consumer and customer habits, again, I think it's test driving, believing in the system, test kilometers without incidents, help, and of course also knowledge. And then there's different systems out there, and we believe in a combination of LiDAR, electromagnetic topics, and camera all at the same time in order to be prepared for all kind of prediction. I think as more knowledge you also as a consumer would have with that topic, as more as you trusting the technology.
And Omar, from your perspective, AI is taking a bigger role in managing traffic, powering autonomous systems. How can we build public trust while keeping innovation moving, especially around safety, transparency, and ethics that come along with it?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and touching upon was discussed earlier. I was speaking to the Director General of the Integrated Travel Center here in Abu Dhabi, and we were discussing how we can have public trust in these AI. So let's imagine if we have all autonomous cars today at level 5. Will everyone ride in them? Not really. So one of the ideas we were brainstorming about is if you can see where the communities or families go during the weekends, let's say where the parks are, and have the autonomous cars go around that area and have the public ride in them, of course with a safety driver, slowly without a safety driver, and then they gain trust in those systems. So as industrials, we have to, build that in the minds of the people to be able to accept it. It's not going to happen overnight.
I see. And Michael, I want to ask your opinion on sustainability. It's not a buzzword anymore. It's integrated into everybody's business. Now, with Mercedes-Benz's ambitious global roadmap towards electrification, carbon neutrality, how are these sustainable targets being adapted to the unique market dynamics and environments such as
Yeah, I mean, our ambition obviously starts global. We have our ambition to be carbon neutral with all our fleets, our production, supply chain by 2039, including life cycle of vehicles, including production, sourcing of raw materials, servicing cars, and so on, which is quite a bold vision that we are having. And again, there's another topic that needs to be built as a marathon over the years. So far, I can update when it comes to production, we reduced the carbon footprint by 75% since 2018, so we are on it, we are on a good track. And also in production, we have the clear guidance and clear vision to be completely on renewable energy by the end of the decade of the 2030s. And at the same time, we're converting the fleet. Obviously, when it comes to electrification, we do our homework in providing the portfolio. So far we have a decent portfolio from an EQA and up to Iconic G full electric. There's more to come in the next 2 years. There will be firework of products. But again, the pace is determined by the consumer, country, and infrastructure at the end when it comes to electrification. And for those topics, obviously, we are having a clear strategy also worldwide to reduce the carbon footprint by those electrification models, by hybrids that we offer to the markets. When it comes to Middle East, obviously that counts, same for Middle East. We offer those products in this region as well. At the same time, we do our share in our facilities in Jebel Ali. You know, our regional head office is in the free zone, and we just installed a couple of years ago our solar panels, and by now have a majority of our energy consumption done by renewable solar energy.
Thank you. And Omran, 2030 and beyond, how do you see autonomous, electric, AI-powered transport coming together seamlessly across road, air, sea? And what does true seamless integration look like in the UAE?
So that's my mandate for until 2030, and it is, the SAVI cluster, the Smart Autonomous Vehicle Industry, which is under the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, is looking after land, sea, air, and robotics. When it comes to land, we have the autonomous cars, we have the robotaxis, we have the unmanned ground vehicles, which can deliver food. There is a use case in the UAE currently as well. They have the drone for multiple uses. So what the government is working towards, that it becomes a government as a platform, and then let's say, imagine this use case, and this is what we're working towards. As you fly into Emirates, let's say from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, and then by the time you land in a vertiport, which is equivalent to a helipad, you have a robotaxi takes you home, and by the time you reach home, your groceries are there. So that's what I see the future going to in terms of autonomy.
Michael, Mercedes has always been at the forefront of luxury. As autonomous technology minimizes human involvement, and I know you touched on it a little bit, what does the future of a true luxury vehicle look like?
Yeah, sure. First of all, it's our obligation to definitely continue that path, building on that we are blessed still to have one of the most recognizable brands in the world. And obviously, now as a further ingredient, we defined our third living room concept. So that includes for us now the vision in the future of the space, time, as well as emotional connect in the car. Those aspects we feel, and that is the vision, what is this vision about? Our vision is to create a kind of a third living space next to the home and the workplace. To relax, to work, to connect, but also to be recharged physically and emotionally. And we believe that can be done, via a perfect AI-supported dialogue with the car, habits that the car knows you by far better and better, and then can react on personal preferences, personal needs, and create kind of a safe space that you just feel home. And so far, I can update you, coming here in my electric G-Wagon, I feel we're on track. It's the way to go, but I feel we are working hard on it, and hopefully also customers would feel that we put a lot of efforts in this homecoming feeling, and the car supported, obviously, by modern technology.
Wonderful. And gentlemen, we are out of time, but I do want to get your perspective on one final thing. What is the single most exciting opportunity when it comes to autonomous mobility, respectively?
From my background as a pilot is seeing autonomous air taxis over the city of Abu Dhabi, let's say by 2030 beyond.
Wonderful. Michael?
Well, I'm, as you know, more on the land side rather than the sea or the air side. So obviously my biggest bet is on use cases around logistics, good deliveries, and those topics where I think you can decongest a lot in modern traffic with autonomous driving. And then we build on that for private use cases subsequently.
Well, gentlemen, on that note, thank you very much indeed for your insights. And could you join me in thanking my guests for their wonderful session? Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. That was very interesting.
Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen, for a really insightful conversation. I'm sure you'll agree on the future of mobility. Thank you very much indeed. And from smart vehicles to sustainable aviation, it is clear that innovation is accelerating across the board, and the UAE is firmly in the driver's seat. Now, as we near the end of today's programme, it is time for us to celebrate excellence across all the sectors that we have explored today. From banking to clean energy, healthcare to smart mobility, we're going to honour now the visionaries and the change makers who are not just keeping pace with the region's economic transformation. They are leading it. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, it is time for the much-awaited Economy Middle East Summit Awards. And I will ask Joe Chidiak to join me on the stage in the next few minutes. He is going to be the gentleman handing out these awards, and of course, he is our host for today. So a round of applause, please, for Joe Chidiak from JC Media Group. Right then, let us start. First of all, we'd like to recognise the Financial Centre of the Year. And congratulations go to ADGM. And please join me in welcoming Salem Al-Darai, CEO of ADGM Authority, to the stage to collect his recognition plaque. Now, ADGM has solidified its position as a premier international financial centre. In 2024, the organisation experienced a remarkable 245% increase in assets under management, reflecting a truly impressively rapid growth and attractiveness to financial institutions. The issuance of over 1,200 new licences and the expansion to Al Reem Island underscore its commitment to fostering a dynamic and robust financial ecosystem. Congratulations to ADGM. Right, now let us recognise leadership in cyber security. And of course, congratulations go to the UAE Cyber Security Council. Please join me in welcoming to the stage His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Al-Kuwaiti. Now, it is possible that His Excellency might have needed to leave because we are running ever so slightly late, in which case, I think, Joe, if you'd like to pose with the award, what I'd like to do is just make sure that we underline the value of the UAE Cyber Security Council's contributions. They have, as you heard from His Excellency's speech earlier today, solidified the nation's position as a global leader in digital security. It's worth noting that the country experienced a 96% reduction in distributed denial of service attacks, decreasing nearly 60,000 incidents in the first quarter of 2023 to 2,300 a year later, which is truly impressive. A round of applause, please, for the UAE Cyber Security Council. Now let us recognise the Best Global Investment Accelerator, and congratulations go to Abu Dhabi Investment Office. Please join me in welcoming their Chief of Support Services, Khalifa Al-Sabi, to the stage to collect the recognition plaque. Now, as we all know, ADIO is truly instrumental in attracting and facilitating investments that drive Abu Dhabi's economic diversification through initiatives like the $335 million Ventures Fund. ADIO supports startups and venture capital funds, fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. ADIO's commitment to creating a conducive investment environment has solidified Abu Dhabi's position as a global investment hub. Now let us recognise economic policy leadership, and congratulations go to the Abu Dhabi Department of Economic Development. Please join me in welcoming Jassam Al-Awadi, Acting Director of Economic Affairs at ADID, to receive the recognition plaque. Now, ADID really instrumental in shaping Abu Dhabi's long-term economic strategy and driving sustainable growth across key sectors. Worth mentioning that last year, the Emirates GDP reached 1.2 trillion dirhams, supported by a 6.2% surge in the non-oil economy. ADID continues to position Abu Dhabi as a globally competitive economic powerhouse through progressive policies and regulatory reforms. Now it is time for us to recognise private sector empowerment, and congratulations